And welcome back to The Good, Bad, the Ugly with Sam Cerrone. Of course, Sean Post, guest hosting on this wonderful inaugural relaunch of the podcast. Again, used to be the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Cerrone. If you want to check out the blog that I've been kind of up going around, a lot of it had to do with the World Cup this past summer. WordPress.com/spicy sports with Sam. Very exciting. Very good topics. The latest one, I believe, is on Christian Pulisic moving to Chelsea, the American prodigy. There you go. Third time's the charm. And then how he's going to look at Chelsea for this upcoming season, what the good, bad, the ugly is for that transfer. Now, I believe that we can win. I don't know if Chelsea believes that he'll be any good, but they paid a lot of money for him, so I don't know what that will be. So, Clemson football, Sean, I know you're not that well-versed, I believe, in college football, but I don't know if you watched the national title game on Monday, but Clemson looked pretty good. They beat the brakes off Alabama, 43-16, I believe, was the final score. And to put that in perspective, Sean, well, the last time that Nick Saban lost by 3 scores or more was when he was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, when he lost 21-0. And 3 touchdowns were thrown by J.P. Lossman of the Buffalo Bills. So that goes to show you how long it's been. And I can't believe J.P. Lossman threw 3 touchdowns in Buffalo. That actually was a surprising stat for me as a Bills fan. I never saw him throw 3 touchdowns, in my opinion, but apparently that's a real thing. So Clemson football, it's very interesting now because they're on that podium with Alabama as a team that can compete with them. They're in the ACC, which doesn't get a lot of pub as much as the SEC does, but they are a good conference, and obviously 2 titles in 3 years and 4 college football playoff appearances. You have Trevor Lawrence, a true freshman, led the way, over 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks on the day, making NFL-type throws at just 19 years old. Now, Sean, obviously for Clemson football, there's not a lot of familiarity with you there, but for NFL potential, and should he, if there was a rule for him to come out, would he be the number 1 overall pick right now, considering he's only 19?
I wouldn't be surprised if he was. Just because you have enough teams that need a quarterback that after that performance, because I did end up watching some of that game just because, I was following it online a bit and saw everyone freaking out about, the offense that was happening. So I tuned in for a little bit and, I think someone would take a chance on him because this would be the last thing in their mind, destroying what has been a perennial powerhouse, consistent, great team that also is known for their defense, just making them look stupid. And, I think there'd be enough people that would say, who cares about his age? Who cares about, it being a small sample size in the college world? This kid's got some talent, and let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's funny. And I think NFL teams should be like baseball, where they can go in the draft out of high school. I'm fine with them going out of high school. If they feel physically ready, they can do that. But then they hold their draft rights if they go to college for 3 years, and then they come out. I think that is a reasonable request. The NFL teams don't have to go that route. They don't have to bet on an 18-year-old. But there's some players that are physically gifted already at this age. If you want to go back to Jadeveon Clowney and go back even farther, players like Herschel Walker that were already ready, at 15, 16 years old, ready to play in the NFL, and they were physical specimens. But it's very rare that you'd see that. But I think it's okay to take a chance on these players, especially a quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is 6'6", 215 right now, so there's potential for him to fill out his body. So he is. So there's still more potential as a true freshman. Now a lot of that defensive line is going to go, but from an NFL perspective, I don't see why it wouldn't be a bad thing to draft a guy with that much of a high ceiling, especially also Tua Tagovailoa last season after his national championship performance. I'm sure people would have taken a little bit more draft stock in him. He's 6'3", 225, and he can chuck it. He's been injured, which is probably why he didn't play well in the SEC championship game and the national title game. But when he's healthy, as we saw throughout most of the season, he was a runaway Heisman front runner to that point.
Yeah, and I think the interesting that the NFL did something like the MLB. The only thing that I worry about there or if students ever had the ability to come out of high school and go into the NFL, is the biggest thing you always hear about. Why do some quarterbacks, or not even just the quarterback position, why do some good college players not transition well to the NFL? Is speed of the game. I mean, I think in baseball, if you're a great center fielder, obviously, yes, the bat speed of a ball coming off Giancarlo Stanton's bat is probably a little different than, the teams you're playing in college. But at the end of the day, it's center field. You probably know all the skills, and it might be a little easier for you to transition. Whereas I don't know if you get that in. I don't know if there's a bigger gap, from high school to college than to the NFL.
Right. It is a little bit of a challenge, right? I mean, there is physical development, which is why a lot of the type high school players in the country don't go on to the NFL and become successful. I mean, that's very rare that they can continue that path as a top 10, top 15 recruit, and then out of high school, and then continue that success moving forward.
Right.
But I don't. So, I mean, there's potential there. I don't know if that'll happen now. This obviously won't happen anytime soon, but maybe in the near future, when the NCAA starts messing up even more violations, more rules, I don't know. But speaking of baseball, Sean, it's a great transition topic there. Manny Machado and Bryce Harper are two of the top free agents on the market. It's funny, how you obviously want to talk about where they would guess. My first thought when you brought up the topic was a lot of soccer transfer rumors. I don't know how much you read into soccer transfer rumors, but they're most hilarious things you'll ever see. For example, like you'll see like Cristiano Ronaldo's girlfriend is in America, like just on a shopping trip, and they're like, "Oh, is he going to come to play for the LA Galaxy? Like, is this happening?" Like, all right, come on now, like you're just grasping at straws here. But I mean, it's kind of interesting. Baseball, there is no salary cap, as you know, and we're both Yankees fans, so obviously we do want to get both Manny Machado and Bryce Harper. But it seems like the latest signings don't indicate that Machado is on the market, but it seems that Harper is still in play. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so, I might be one of the few Yankees fans out here. I don't want either of them. And I've had this argument a couple times with some other fans, and no one's buying into it, so I'm fine with that. But I don't like either of their attitudes. And I don't think we need to add any more strikeouts to our lineup. But, that's an aside. I do think right now, and maybe it's because some of my sports are kind of filtered through the Philadelphia lens, just from where I am, is that it does sound like there's pretty strong potential for Philly to land one, if not two of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, they have the cap space. They have a young core of talent. Now they just need a superstar to make it pop and for them to compete. Early on last season, they were very competitive until, I think June or July, where, it's just a young team and they weren't as competitive down the stretch. But that's okay. There's more potential for next season. And it was a good development year, I think, for the Phillies. Now, can they get this talent? Obviously. I think they have a better chance to get Bryce Harper than Machado. It seems that Machado keeps being linked to the Chicago White Sox. I don't know, just because he's been signed, a couple of players that Machado's good friends with have been signed by them. I think probably with the hope that if, hey, my buddies are there, let's go, may try to win something in Chicago. In the AL, but I just don't think the Yankees should pursue either of these teams. I think you're right. I think they're fine with what they have right now. I think the core group is fairly solid. They just need to continue to develop their farm system, which has been pretty good. I think for us, we've been criticized. I would say as Yankees fans, we've been criticized for too long about getting free agent players, and yes, we do. But we also do a lot of what we did in the 90s and the early 2000s was based off the farm system. And I think we need to go back to that to continue to have success. And seeing what the Red Sox have done and seeing their success, it creates motivation for us to be consistent now or be great now. And I just don't think that these signings would help us get there right away and would just put us in a hole moving forward.
Right, and that's not me tooting the Yankees' horn saying we have everything we need and we just don't need these guys. It's just we don't need these particular guys.
Right.
I've never liked Bryce Harper. I get that he sells some of that edginess or that manufactured edginess. And Machado, I never really had a problem with until the playoffs last year, and I just thought he was a dirty player. And I think it's hard to be a dirty player in baseball, but I thought it came out in the playoffs. and that's why I don't want him. But you had a with speaking of Machado, I loved your Ronaldo example and how the rumors start. And there was one last night. I guess the Phillies just hired the former Orioles infield coach or something like that, who had worked with Machado when he really came on the scene. So now everyone's like, "Oh, we got Harper in the bag. Now we got his mentor. Now we got Machado's mentor here, and we're gonna hire them both after we beat the Saints on Sunday."
Right. Like, again, a lot of these rumors are they're fascinating. I don't know. I don't think Harper or Machado are going to reveal their hands. I think they have their strong agents behind them and are going to get the most money that they can on the open market. I just don't think the Yankees, as a franchise that is surprisingly being more conservative with some of their signings in recent seasons, I just don't think that they need to go out and get another big player. I think they weren't bad last season. It's just, a year of development and a year of, trying to get that young core up and running for the next couple seasons. I do think we need another pitcher. I think that's fine.
Yes, I 100% agree there.
I think there's pitching that if that's available on the open market, if we could trade for Clayton Kershaw somehow, that'd be great, but I don't think it's possible. But I just, I think there are other positions in a better need. And you're right. We don't, it's not that we don't want big players. We just don't want these big players. I think that's a fair statement to say.
When do you think we hear about where these guys go?
Man,
you think it's soon? Think this drags out a little bit longer?
I mean, baseball, it starts in April, so I mean, my guess is probably before Super Bowl weekend. That's my guess.
Okay, all right.
Because spring training's coming up. They got to sign for somewhere. They got to find a home to start practicing. It also amazes me then if they're not signed already, then what's really the market there? That also presents another question: did Washington provide them $300 million, and was that the biggest offer that Bryce Harper can get? And he assumed wrong by thinking he could get $400 million.
Right.
So I mean, that's also another question. I just don't know what the market.
Which, for the record, is a stupid amount of money.
Oh no! I mean, for a player that hasn't, I don't believe he's hit over 300 in his career for Bryce Harper. Hasn't hit over 50 home runs. Hasn't hit 100 RBIs. I think he's hit 100 RBIs once, but again, once in his career. So he's not a player that's worth $30 million or $40 million a season for the next 10 seasons. It's not there. It's only because he's young and has that potential that for sure. But outside of that, I mean, you're basing a $400 million signing off potential. I just don't think that that's a smart investment there. Now,
hey, but power to him for being able to get it. So
Look, if I have the market if I can get $300 million at my worst, I think I'll be okay. I think I can.
Yeah.
I think I can. Yeah, right. I think I'll live. And then, so Sean, I know that I mentioned this as a topic, so at the top of the show, and again, I wanted you as a Packers fan to give me some insight into this. And I was at the bar with my girlfriend, who's also a Packers fan, by the way, and she had presented a good question that I didn't have the answer to. I usually have a lot of answers for a lot of sports questions. I just didn't have one for this one. The Green Bay Packers are a publicly traded organization, publicly traded company, and obviously as a stockholder yourself, you have one prestigious stock in the company. But
got a nice little frame.
Tell me how that experience is, and then why do you think there isn't other NFL teams or teams in general that follow the same model?
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I think there's something about just the history of the Packers that makes this all possible. The stock started from when they were still a new organization, I want to say in the early 1920s, I believe, and they were actually about to go bankrupt. So there was a need for it. This came out of necessity, not